hold back anymore. The truth is coming out. This feels like somebody who has tried to stay controlled, tried to stay quiet, tried to stay measured, but the longer they kept it inside, the stronger it became. So let's go ahead and see where you are in this connection right now. What is your overall energy here? Here is the High Priestess. So yes, I feel you have known something was building. You may not have had direct proof. You may not have had straight words, but your inner knowing has been active around this person for a while. I feel there has been a quiet awareness in you. Like part of your spirit already sensed that silence was not the full story. And even if your mind tried to stay realistic, your deeper self kept feeling there was more underneath all of this. And where is this person right now? Here is the King of Swords. Wow. Okay, so this is someone who has tried very hard to stay in control, to stay composed, to stay mentally disciplined. But I do not feel that control is working the same way anymore. I feel this person has been organizing, filtering, and tightening everything inside. Maybe telling themselves they should wait, maybe telling themselves they should not say too much, maybe trying to keep their emotions behind a wall of logic. But I feel the wall is cracking now because the truth itself has become too loud. And what is going on for both of you right now? Here is the Ace of Swords. Beautiful. So yes, this is breakthrough energy. This is the kind of card that says clarity wants to arrive. A revelation wants to arrive. Honesty wants to arrive. And I feel that is why the opening message came in so strongly. Today marks the end of silence because the energy itself is ready to cut through the fog. What else for you? Here's intuition. Yes, and that fits perfectly. Spirit is confirming that your inner guidance has been reading this correctly. You may have doubted it sometimes, you may have second-guessed it, but I do not feel your sensitivity has been wrong. I feel it has been catching the truth long before the truth had language around it. And for them, here is suppression. Wow, yes, that says everything. This person has been holding in more than they have shown, more than they have said, more than they have admitted, and I feel that suppression has not made the feelings disappear. It has only built pressure. It has only made everything more difficult to contain for both of you. Here is unveiling. Beautiful. So yes, something covered is being uncovered. Something hidden is being shown. Something quiet is moving toward a voice. All right, 2 cards coming out for you. Here is patience and here is knowing. Yes, that is exactly what I am getting. You have been patient, but not empty. You have been still, but not unaware. And I feel part of your lesson here has been learning how to trust yourself even before the outside world gave you enough to hold. For them, here is breaking point. Wow. So yes, I do feel they are reaching the point where keeping this in feels worse than speaking it. And for both of you, here is turning wheel. So yes, a cycle is changing here. Something is not staying in the old pattern anymore. Here is your next energy. A personal issue reaches resolution. Wow. Okay, let's clarify that. Here is the Page of Cups. Beautiful. So yes, I do feel something softer wants to come through. Something heartfelt, something more open, something that carries real emotional honesty behind it. And I feel you have changed too, because with the High Priestess here, you are not the version of yourself that needs constant proof to know what you feel. You are listening more deeply now. You are watching more clearly now. And I feel that is one reason this moment matters so much, because it does not only confirm their truth, it confirms your own inner reading too. So the main energy coming through is this. The silence is ending because the truth has become too heavy to carry in secret. This person has tried to manage it through control, through keeping things measured, but I do not feel that is sustainable anymore. And I feel today marks the beginning of a new phase where what has been living under the surface starts crossing into words. And once that happens, the whole tone of the connection begins shifting. Because once truth starts moving, nothing stays exactly where it was before. And I feel you have been sensing that all along, that something inside this person was preparing to break open, close enough that even they can no longer pretend not to feel it. And I feel this matters because the truth is no longer content living in hints. It wants air. It wants language. It wants to meet you directly, and shift feels undeniable. Okay, let's keep going because I want to look at some more details here. What are you thinking overall about this person and about this connection right now? Here is the Ace of Cups, the Two of Wands, and the Sunday. Wow, so even with all the silence, part of you still feels there is something beautiful here. The Ace of Cups says your heart still recognizes real feeling. The Two of Wands says your mind keeps looking ahead, wondering where this could go if everything opened the way it wants to open. And the Sunday says this person still brings light into your inner world, even if you have tried to stay composed and grounded. So I do not feel your thoughts are shut down. I feel they are careful but still warm. You may have tried to keep yourself realistic, but part of you has still seen possibility here. And what are they thinking about you right now? Here is the King of Cups, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Page of Swords. The King of Cups says they hold real feeling here. The Seven of Pentacles says they know something meaningful has been growing. And the Page of Swords says they have been watching, thinking, and circling this heavily. I feel this person has replayed a lot in their mind, maybe all the things they almost said and then swallowed back down. I feel they have stayed mentally close to you even while staying outwardly restrained. What are you feeling overall about them right now? Here is the Star, the Lovers, and the Four of Swords. Wow, yes. I feel your heart has not gone cold, but it has needed rest. The Star says there is still hope inside you. The Lover says the bond still feels meaningful. And the Four of Swords says you have also needed space from the noise. So I feel you have been holding two truths at once. One truth is that you still feel the bond, and the other truth is that you have wanted peace too. And how are they feeling about you right now? Here is the Queen of Wands, the Moon, and the Four of Pentacles. Wow, so yes, they are deeply drawn to you. The Queen of Wands says they see you as magnetic, unforgettable, and difficult to ignore. The Moon says there is a lot going on inside them that they have not fully brought into the light. Private feelings, uncertainty, imagined conversations, and then the Four of Pentacles says they have been gripping all of this tightly. Let's clarify that Four of Pentacles here is the Nine of Swords. Yes, so I feel this person has not been peaceful in this silence. They have been tense, restless, and mentally overworked by it. And one more, here is the Ace of Wands, beautiful. So the spark is still here. That is why the pressure is increasing, because what they feel is not fading, it is building. And the more it builds, the harder it is for them to keep their mouth shut. So let's look at your intentions toward them right now. Here is the Queen of Swords, the Six of Pentacles, and Judgment. Wow, so your intention is not to float inside uncertainty forever. The Queen of Swords says you want truth, the Six of Pentacles says you want reciprocity, and Judgment says you can feel something here is reaching a revealing point. You are not interested in carrying the whole emotional weight by yourself anymore. You want to see whether this person can meet what they feel with real honesty, and what are their intentions toward you right now. Here is the Knight of Cups, the Five of Swords, the World, and the Ace of Swords. Wow. Okay, so yes, I do feel they want to come towards you emotionally, but there is still a battle inside them. The Knight of Cups says there is a wish to move towards you with feeling. The Five of Swords says pride, fear, or some self-defeating pattern has made that harder than it needed to be. The World says a cycle is turning. And the Ace of Swords says the truth wants expression now, but it looks like a person wrestling themselves while doing it. What exactly has been blocking them? Here is the Two of Swords. Yes, indecision, hesitation, not wanting to look straight at what this means. Sometimes when a feeling is this strong, a person keeps it in a half-lit room, because once they face it fully, they know it will ask something of them. Let's get another block here. Here is second house. Yes. So comfort routine, security, and fear of change have all played a role in slowing this down. But I do not feel that old pace is working anymore. Because the truth is louder now. The inner tension is louder now. And I feel the more you stay in your own energy, the harder it becomes for them to keep acting like this is manageable in silence. Because silence used to feel like control. Now it feels like pressure. They are moving from managing into revealing. And once a person makes that shift inside, their energy begins changing very quickly. That matters because truth kept growing while silence tried to hold it. Now truth wins, and that is why everything feels close to changing. All right, let's look at the shared field between you now, because this is where the connection shows its own movement. How are you both thinking in this connection? Here is the Two of Cups. Wow. So yes, there is mutual awareness here. Both of, there is something alive between you. Both of you know there is a pull here. And even if much of it has remained unspoken, the exchange is real. This is not one-sided imagining. This is echo. This is each heart picking up on the other even while the outer situation still looks unfinished. And how are you both feeling? Here's the Nine of Swords. Yes, that makes sense, because this has both of you stirred up. For you, it may feel like emotional tension and wondering. For them, it may feel like pressure, restlessness, and urgency. Let's clarify that Nine of Swords, here is the Three of Pentacles. So the challenge has not been whether there is attraction or whether there is feeling. The challenge has been how to bring this into real life, how to move from atmosphere into structure, how to move from hidden truth into something that can stand. Because that is what I keep feeling here. The current is strong. The chemistry is strong. The emotional pull is strong. But now the connection wants form. It wants movement. It wants something tangible, not only something sensed in silence. So let's look at where this connection is headed in the near future. Here is the Hierophant, the Page of Cups, and the Star. Well, with Hierophant, I feel the next phase wants more seriousness, more honesty, and more conscious direction. The Page of Cups says there is a softer opening trying to happen, a message, a heartfelt gesture, or an emotional offering with real tenderness behind it. And then the Star says there is healing in that movement, there is relief in that movement, there is a gentler atmosphere trying to arrive here. I really like that combination because it feels like the air begins to clear, less tension, less guessing, more visible feeling, more movement. Let's get another card for the near future. Here's the Eight of Wands. Wow. Yes, movement, communication, energy beginning to travel faster after a slower phase. And here is the Hermit reversed. Wow. Okay, so someone is stepping out from behind their own silence. Someone is getting tired of staying inward. Someone is getting tired of holding it all in. And I feel that matters because the inward phase has gone on long enough. Too much circling, too much imagining, too much knowing with no shape. And I feel the next phase begins changing that. What advice does Spirit have for you right now? Here's the Ten of Cups. Beautiful Spirit is saying, do not put your joy on hold while someone else catches up to what they already feel. Your emotional life matters now. Your peace matters now. Your heart does not need to wait for somebody else's timing. Let's get another advice card. Here is self-trust. Yes, exactly. This is one of your biggest lessons here. Not shutting down your feelings, not talking yourself out of your intuition, but trusting what your spirit has picked up without betraying your clarity. Because sometimes when love is real, the hardest part is not feeling it. The hardest part is allowing yourself to believe your own experience of it. And I feel Spirit is helping you do that now. More? Let's see what this person would say to you if they could speak from the heart. Here's the first message. I know I cannot keep swallowing this. Wow. Yes, that fits completely. Here's another message. The more I try to stay quiet, the louder everything gets inside me. Yes, that feels very true. Here is another. I think you have already felt most of this, and that makes it harder and easier at the same time. Wow, yes. If your intuition has been active, then on some level the bond has already been in conversation. Let's get one more. I know something has to change now because staying still feels worse than speaking. Yes. And that really is the threshold energy here. Because once silence hurts more than vulnerability, a person begins moving differently. And I feel that is what is happening here. So Spirit is saying, watch for momentum, because momentum tells you this person has crossed a line inside themselves. They are no longer only feeling, they are preparing to act from it. Once that happens, the tone of the connection shifts. Because now the truth has direction, now the heart has movement, and now your own heart has something more visible to respond to that matters because you have carried enough mystery. I feel this next stretch brings something more direct, something clearer. That is why the whole energy feels so close to change right now. Okay, let's keep going because I want to look more closely at what is happening inside this person now that the truth is becoming harder to contain. What are they most afraid of if they step fully toward this? Here is the Tower. Wow. Yes, this person is afraid of how much changes once they stop pretending they are fine, because I do not feel they can come toward you halfway and stay untouched. I feel they know this would shift their emotional world in a real way. What else are they afraid of? Here is justice. Yes, there is also fear of accountability, They know that feeling something privately is not the same thing as showing up for it openly. And if they come in now, they may have to face what they delayed, what they avoided, or how long they expected you to stay in uncertainty. So the fear here is not only about emotion, it is also about consequence. It is about knowing that once truth moves forward, it changes the field. What do they want most with you now? Here is the Lovers. Beautiful, so beneath all the hesitation, what they want is closeness, reciprocity, and a real choice in the direction of this bond. I do not feel they want to keep hovering around the edges forever. I feel there is something in them that wants a genuine place in your life, not only a thought of you, not only a private ache, something actual, something shared. And that matters because it shows the center of this is not empty. What would help this connection unfold in the healthiest way? Here is Temperance. Wow. Spirit is saying balance, calm pacing, emotional steadiness. Truth without chaos. This is not a bond that needs more confusion. It needs enough groundedness for the truth to land well. Let's get another card for what helps. Here is the Three of Pentacles. Yes, grounded effort matters, consistency matters, follow through matters. If they want more with you, it cannot stay all feeling and no structure. What is the lesson you are meant to take from this phase? Here is the Queen of Swords. Wow, yes. You are learning how to stay open without becoming blurry. You are learning how to feel deeply without abandoning your standards. And that is powerful because it means you can recognize the strength of the bond without handing your center over to it. You can let the truth rise while still staying rooted in what you need. What is the lesson they are meant to take from this phase? Here is the Hanged Man. Yes, this person has been forced to see themselves differently. They have had to sit with the reality that emotion by itself does not move a connection. And I feel that perspective shift matters because they are starting to understand that if they truly want change, they cannot keep hiding inside postponement, ego, or fear. Something cleaner is being asked of them. Let's get another card for them. Here's Heart Chakra. Beautiful. So I feel they are being pushed to live more honestly from the heart, not only ache from the heart in silence. That is the actual growth here. Not only feeling strongly, but allowing those feelings to influence behavior, timing, and courage. Let's see what else they would say to you. I know I have stayed quiet too long. Wow, yes, that feels very true. Here's another. The longer I held this in, the heavier it became inside me. Yes, and here is another. I do not think I can keep acting like this means less than it does. Wow, yes, that says a lot. Because I feel the emotional reality has become too large to fit into smaller behavior. What are you being asked to remember while all of this unfolds? Here's the Empress. Beautiful. Spirit wants you rooted in your worth, your softness, and your ability to receive. You do not need to perform. You do not need to prove anything. You already hold the energy that has reached this person, and that means you can remain steady in your truth while they decide whether they are ready to step toward you for real. Let's get one more. Here is the Star. Wow. Yes, stay open to healing, stay open to a better outcome than what has been here before, but do not let another person's inner storm become your emotional center. Because I feel the deepest guidance here is this. Let their silence ending reveal them, but let their actions define the next chapter. That is how you stay in your power while the connection enters a more visible phase. And I do feel that visible phase is coming much closer now, because what has been buried is too strong to remain hidden for much longer. Their heart is louder now, their mind is louder now, and their need to stop holding back is only getting stronger from here. Let's get one more layer. What was their coping pattern? Here is the Four of Swords. Yes, they paused instead of speaking. They kept telling themselves there would be a better moment later, but later kept moving, and the truth kept staying. Sometimes silence looks calm, but inside it is pressure with no release. All right, let's get deeper into the messages now, because I feel there is a lot this person has wanted to say, but has not fully known how to bring out cleanly. Here is the first message. I have replayed this in my mind so many times, and I am tired of stopping myself. Wow. Yes, that fits the whole reading. This person has been rehearsing truth. Starting, stopping, revising, then retreating again. Here is another. I know you have felt there was more here, and part of me is scared that you felt it before I could say it. Yes, that makes sense. Because if your intuition has been active, then on some level the bond has already been speaking. Here is another. I do not want this to stay a feeling that never gets a voice. Wow. Yes, that feels like one of the strongest lines here because it shows the pressure to express has become more important than the comfort of holding back. Let's get another message. What is most alive in their heart right now? Here is I want to be honest with you, even if it shakes things. Wow. Yes, that is powerful because it tells me they know truth changes the connection. And still, some part of them is getting more willing to let that happen. What are they still hesitant about? Here is the Seven of Wands. Yes, there is still resistance in them. They worry about your reaction. They worry about whether the opening is still there. And they worry about how much they will have to expose if they stop hiding. That is very clear. Let's clarify the Seven of Wands. Here is the Five of Pentacles. Wow. Yes, another fear is being shut out. Another fear is realizing they waited too long. And one more, here is judgment. Beautiful. So the reason this still moves is because the inner call has become stronger than the hesitation. What do they secretly hope for? Here is the Six of Cups. Yes, they hope the warmth is still there. They hope the thread between you still carries softness. They hope there is still room for something sweet to come forward if they finally say what has been sitting in their chest. What does Spirit most want you to know about that? Here is the Queen of Wands. Wow, Spirit wants you to remember the strength of your presence. Your energy has left a mark. The way you look, the way you move, the way you hold yourself, and the way you make others feel have all stayed with this person, and that matters. Let's get another message from them. I am tired of acting like this is smaller than it is. Wow. Yes, that feels very true. Here's another. Every time I stay quiet, I feel the distance more. Yes, and here is another. I think the truth is already living between us, and I need to stop pretending it is not. Wow. Yes. That says so much because it shows this person is no longer trying to erase the bond. They are trying to find their way into honesty. What would help this next phase most? Here is the Knight of Pentacles. Beautiful. Spirit is saying slower, sincere steps are better than dramatic bursts with no grounding behind them. If they come forward, let it be because they are becoming steadier, not simply more emotional. That matters here. Let's get another card. Here is the Wheel of Fortune. Wow, yes, timing is turning. The cycle is shifting. And I feel that is why the energy looks so ready to move now. What stayed suspended is starting to lean toward expression. That change is real. What are you being asked to do with that? Here is the Empress and the Queen of Swords. Beautiful. Softness and clarity together. You do not need to harden. You do not need to chase. And you do not need to rescue anybody from their own silence. You simply remain in your worth and let the next move reveal what they are actually ready for. Because if this person wants truth so badly now, then the next thing must be truth with shape. Not only feeling, not only atmosphere. Something clear. Something chosen. Let's get one more message from their heart. I think I have reached the point where saying nothing hurts more than risking the truth. Wow. Yes. And that really is the center of this reading. Their silence used to feel safer. Now it does not. Now it feels heavy. Now it feels costly. And I feel that is why the next step matters so much. Because it tells you whether this person can turn inner truth into cleaner expression, clearer contact, and more mature movement. And I do feel they are getting very close to that threshold. Now, close enough that the connection may start feeling different very quickly. Because once a person stops fighting what they already know, their energy changes, their choices change, and the whole bond begins moving in a different direction from there. Let's get one more card here. What unlocked this? Here is the Ace of Swords. Yes, clarity did. At some point, they stopped being able to lie to themselves. And once that happened, everything they had hidden started pressing forward. Now they need to speak it. All right, let's close this out with some final messages because this reading feels like it is bringing a hidden truth toward a much more visible threshold. Here's the first closing message. I know I cannot keep doing this in silence. Wow. Yes, that is exactly the heart of this reading. This person has been carrying more feeling, more thought, and more restraint than they have been comfortable admitting. And I feel the reason it matters so much now is because the silence is not lowering what they feel. It is making it louder. It is making it heavier. Here is the next message. I do not want this to stay unspoken, if it is already this real inside me. Wow. Yes, that is very important because it shows a shift from avoidance into ownership. Here is another one. I know that if I keep standing still, I could lose the chance to be truly known by you. Yes, and that realization feels like one of the biggest turning points here because time no longer feels endless to them. Your life no longer feels paused. And that changes everything. It changes the urgency, it changes the pressure, and it changes the choices that come next. What does Spirit most want you to remember? Here is the Ten of Pentacles, beautiful. Spirit wants you to remember that your future is not meant to revolve around someone else's delay. Your life is full, your path is rich, and anything entering your world should add steadiness, care, and substance. Let's get another advice card. Here is the Star. Yes, stay open to healing. Stay open to a brighter direction than what has been here before, but do not let another person's urgency become your emotional burden. And let's get one more. Here is the Queen of Swords exactly. Clarity belongs here, truth belongs here, boundaries belong here. You can understand why someone is finally coming forward and still require them to show up in a way that honors your peace. What is the highest potential here if both people honor what is being revealed? Here is the Two of Cups and the King of Pentacles, beautiful. So the highest potential is mutual feeling meeting dependability. Not only tension, not only atmosphere, something with actual weight that matters, because this reading is not only about truth surfacing, it is about whether truth becomes steady enough to hold. What would they say to you if no pride and no fear were left in the way? Here's the first message. I have wanted to tell you for a long time, and I do not want to hide behind delay anymore. Well, yes, here is another. You deserved clarity from me sooner. Yes, and that feels important because the reading is not pretending that delay had no effect. I do think this person understands that your heart has had to carry a lot without words. Here's another one. I want what is real between us to have a voice now. Beautiful. That feels like one of the cleanest lines here because it shows the shift very clearly. Not wanting, not only sensing, not only wondering, a voice. Let's get one final oracle card. Here is truth. Wow. And here is another disclosure. Beautiful. So I feel the closing energy is very simple. Truth wants to be spoken now. Truth wants to be heard now. Truth wants form now. So the final message I am getting is this. Today marks the end of silence. They cannot hold back anymore because what they feel has become too strong to manage quietly. The truth is coming out not because everything is perfect, not because every fear is gone, but because hiding it no longer works. Spirit is also saying this. Do not confuse confession with completion. The confession matters. It opens the door, it changes the field, it clears the fog. But what matters after that is whether the person builds on what they say. If you have been feeling the air change or feeling like something important is close, I do not think you are imagining that at all. I think you are picking up on a real shift. Their inner world has changed. Their threshold has changed. And now the bond is asking for something more visible. For now, stay calm, stay grounded. Stay in your worth, because the more you do that, the more clearly you will see whether this person's truth is ready to become honest effort, cleaner contact, and steadier presence. And here is one final closing message. I think I have reached the point where saying nothing would be more dishonest than speaking. Well, yes, that feels like the ending. The silence has done all it can do. Now the truth takes its place. And I do feel what comes next tells you everything about whether this connection is ready to become clearer, steadier, and much more real than before. Very soon, watch what breaks open next. Because once a person crosses that line inside themselves, their energy stops hiding and their choices begin to reveal them. One more. What seals shift? Here is the Ace of Swords. Yes, breakthrough does. The truth has gathered force and now wants out. Here's the first closing message. I know I cannot keep doing this in silence. Wow. Yes, that is exactly the heart of this reading. This person has been carrying more feeling, more thought, and more restraint than they have been comfortable admitting. And I feel the reason it matters so much now is because the silence is not lowering what they feel. It is making it louder. It is making it heavier. Here is the next message. I do not want this to stay unspoken, if it is already this real inside me. Wow. Yes, that is very important because it shows a shift from avoidance into ownership. Here's another one. I know that if I keep standing still, I could lose the chance to be truly known by you. Yes, and that realization feels like one of the biggest turning points here because time no longer feels endless to them. Your life no longer feels paused. And that changes everything. It changes the urgency, it changes the pressure. And it changes the choices that come next. What does Spirit most want you to remember? Here is the Ten of Pentacles beautiful. Spirit wants you to remember that your future is not meant to revolve around someone else's delay. Your life is full, your path is rich, and anything entering your world should add steadiness, care, and substance. Let's get another advice card. Here is the Star. Yes, stay open to healing. Stay open to a brighter direction than what has been here before, but do not let another person's urgency become your emotional burden. And let's get one more. Here is the Queen of Swords exactly. Clarity belongs here, truth belongs here, boundaries belong here. You can understand why someone is finally coming forward and still require them to show up in a way that honors your peace. What is the highest potential here if both people honor what is being revealed? Here is the Two of Cups and the King of Pentacles. Beautiful. So the highest potential is mutual feeling meeting dependability. Not only tension, not only atmosphere, something with actual weight that matters because this reading is not only about truth surfacing, it is about whether truth becomes steady enough to hold. What would they say to you if no pride and no fear were left in the way? Here's the first message. I have wanted to tell you for a long time and I do not want to hide behind delay anymore. Well, yes, here is another. You deserved clarity from me sooner. Yes, and that feels important because the reading is not pretending that delay had no effect. I do think this person understands that your heart has had to carry a lot without words. Here's another one. I want what is real between us to have a voice now. Beautiful. That feels like one of the cleanest lines here because it shows the shift very clearly. Not wanting, not only sensing, not only wondering,